I didn't plan to breathe when she said it, but the air still left my lungs in one slow, controlled exhale the moment my sister stood, lifted her glass, and rested a hand on her stomach like she'd practiced in a mirror. "My baby, our baby, is due in November," she said, eyes flicking to my husband like he was the prize she'd won. His baby. The room froze, forks midair, my mother choking on a gasp, my husband, Mark, waiting for me to shatter. They expected collapse, screaming, hysterics. Instead, I picked up my glass. "Congratulations," I said, my voice steady enough to cut marble. "Though before we continue the celebration, I should tell you all something too." His face drained. She blinked, confused. That was the moment, the fracture where everything finally beautifully broke. I wasn't always like this. There was a time I loved him softly. When we met, he had this gentle awkwardness I mistook for sincerity. He'd tuck my hair behind my ear like he was afraid I might vanish if he touched me too quickly. Back then, I believed in that fragility. I believed in him. And my sister, Claire, she used to look at me like I had everything she wanted. I never saw the hunger behind her compliments then. Or maybe I did, but I excused it the way older sisters excuse too much. The three of us used to have Sunday dinners, laughing, inside jokes. I replay those memories now the way detectives review security footage, knowing the crime is there if I pause at the right frame. The first sign was the silence. Mark started guarding his phone like it held nuclear codes. Late nights at the office. Showers the moment he got home. Then the smell, floral perfume. Not mine. Not anyone's I knew. But it wasn't proof. Not yet. The proof came on a Thursday. I found his car parked at the far end of the grocery store lot. Empty, but still warm. And a second car beside it. My sister's. I didn't confront. Didn't sob. Didn't collapse. I simply stood there, staring at those two cars side by side like puzzle pieces snapping into place. Something inside me shifted. Not a crack, but a quiet click. The sound of a lock opening. Planning didn't feel like revenge. Felt like survival. I began small. Documents, accounts, lawyers. Then bigger. I convinced him we should get a fertility check, just to be sure. He agreed too quickly, a guilty man eager to appear innocent. The results arrived a week later. Male factor infertility. 0 chance of biological children without intervention. He never asked to see the report. He assumed we'd try again later. He assumed I still trusted him. Assumptions are the blindfolds fools tie on themselves. Meanwhile, I visited my sister. I hugged her. I asked about work, her life, her health. I looked around her apartment noting the new clothes, the expensive shoes, the receipts that didn't match her salary. He was spoiling her, funding her, loving her, and I let him believe I knew nothing. I even invited them both to my birthday dinner. I chose the restaurant carefully. Public, elegant, surrounded by people who would witness every second. Revenge requires lighting, proximity, and timing. I had all three, and so we returned to the moment. Her announcement still hanging in the air like smoke. My husband still staring at me, waiting for the explosion. I lifted my glass and smiled. "Since tonight is about honesty," I said, "let's talk about the fertility test Mark took last month." His eyes widened. Claire's grip tightened around her water glass. "He didn't tell you?" I asked, tilting my head. "Mark can't have children. At least, not biologically." A ripple went through the table. A gasp. A stifled laugh from someone who tried to hide it. My sister looked like someone had yanked the floor out from beneath her. Her hand slipped from her stomach. "That's not," she started. But I cut her off with a look. Calm, surgical look. "I have the results in my purse," I continued. "If you'd like to see them." Mark's mouth opened and closed helplessly. A fish flopping on land. He knew. God, he knew the moment the words left my mouth. Everyone did. My sister wasn't pregnant with my husband's child. She was pregnant with someone else's. And now everyone knew she'd betrayed me. For nothing. The fallout began instantly. My father stood up first, disgust carved into his expression. My mother burst into tears. My aunt whispered something that sounded like, "Shameless." My sister ran to the bathroom. My husband followed, but not before I said, quietly enough that only he heard, "You two deserve each other, and I deserve freedom." His knees almost buckled, because he knew what I meant. The divorce papers he didn't know were ready. The financial accounts I'd already secured. The lawyer who would contact him in the morning. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't throw a drink. I didn't create chaos. I simply finished my toast. "To truth," I said softly. "Late, but welcome." Now, sitting alone in my car outside the restaurant, I feel something unfamiliar. Not joy, not sorrow. Relief, like I finally set down a weight I'd been carrying for years without noticing. People think revenge is fire, an explosion, a scream. But real revenge is quiet, calculated, executed with a steady hand and a steady heart. They expected me to collapse. Instead, I rose. And for the first time in a long time, I feel free.